Long before he was the head peacock, he was a Rudahawk. Bill Prochaska, the retired Upper Iowa University athletic director, head men's basketball coach, baseball coach, golf coach, health physical education, recreation professor, also driver's training instructor, Hall of Fame high school girls softball umpire. The list goes on and on and on. Coach Prochaska, during his illustrious 30-plus years at Upper Iowa University, touched more young adults than probably anyone in this area. He prepped in Prodovan at Rudolph Enum High School. When his career was over, he had scored 2,124 points in basketball, more than anyone in the history of the Iowa game at that time. He held the record for 7 years into the 60s, and through the 60s he remained number 2, and into the early 80s he was still number 4. He was inducted into the Iowa High School Basketball Hall of Fame in 1993. He remains to this day the only basketball player to be so honored in the Howard County, Winneshiek County area of Iowa. And he is the only athlete ever elected to any Hall of Fame in what is now the Turkey Valley School District. With all his personal accomplishments on and off the playing fields in hardwood, Coach Prochaska was just as proud, even more proud, of his team accomplishment back in 1955 when they won the Howard Winneshiek County Basketball Conference and Tournament. We visited with Coach Prochaska about those days back in the mid-50s, and that interview coming up right after this.
This is Kyle with Fensel Oil and LP Company, letting you know that we are here to serve your propane gas, diesel, and gasoline needs. We offer sales and rentals of LP tanks, contracting, budget billing, and automatic filling to avoid inconvenient out-of-gas situations. Fensel Oil would like to remind customers that you must be properly trained technician to make modifications to any gas system. Please call us if you need any changes to your gas system. Contact us at 563-569-8205 or visit us on the web at fenceloil.com. Fensel Oil and LP Company, where safety and service are number one.
Talking with Bill Prochaska, we're going to go all the way back to the 50s, which, over 50 years ago now, of course. Basketball, Rudolph Enum High School, a big deal back in those days, Coach. You had a heck of a career, but it had a lot of fun. You had some team success as well.
We the last 2 years, we were in the Ohioan Conference, and we played Cresco Notre Dame in the final game of the year. And luckily, we won the conference with I think we were 13-1. We lost one game to Cresco Notre Dame, and the second time we beat them, and somebody must have beaten Notre Dame along the way. But we beat them in a sudden death and in the gym in Prodovan. So that was a good game for us, and we had a good team. Norman Ira, Bernard Carrion, Joe Sublake, Leo Patsanuski, and myself were basically then Larry Schwesker were the top 6 ball players for Father Turgel. So Father Turgel was a good coach, did a good job.
One thing a lot of people won't realize, back in those days, there were a lot of schools. I think that Iowa had over 700 at the time, but around Howard and Winneshiek County, every town had a school.
There was, I think when we first started in the early 50s, I used to go listen to Tate Cummins and WMT for scores, and there was over 1,000 schools.
1,000.
And then later on, I think when we were playing was a bit in the 900s and 800s, and when I started coaching at Buffalo Center in '63, I want to say there's about 700 some schools, and now we're down to about 345 in Iowa. So it's changed a lot, but the conference, the Howard Conference, that is completely dissolved. Chester and Lime Springs became Crestwood, and Ridgeway became Crestwood, and Ocean DeSales closed, and Ocean Public became South Winneshiek, and Fort Atkinson became Turkey Valley, and Cresco Notre Dame also dissolved itself. So there was 2 years there, and I can't remember how many years after that they played, but I think we played 2 years in that conference.
And of course, individually, you had a Hall of Fame basketball career at Prodovan. Tell us about what you would do back in those days as far as shooting the ball.
Well, I think I don't think anybody ever taught me how to hold the basketball and so on, but I watched other people play, and I used levers. I had good levers, and I've always taught some of my ball players after I started coaching in high school. We had good shooters in Buffalo Center and at Upper Iowa, and you had to have good levers, and it was just something. But I think what the big thing is, you just had it by repetition.
Right.
Certain pathways are developed, and I spent a lot of hours in the gym in Prodovan. Father was good enough to let me have the key, so I played basketball by myself up and down the court for a lot of hours. But Prodovan has had, also the girls. They had some good scorers. A lot of good scorers, and they were all the Clecia girls were good scorers, and Ned Martinek was a good scorer, Norman Iowa was a good scorer. So there was a lot of people played ball every Sunday. It was cold in the gym, but people would come in and play every Sunday. So it was by repetition, just a lot of practice. And we didn't have football or things like that, so we had to just do what we had to do.
And you told me one time you used to play with snuff boxes. Is that true? Up in your in the dance hall?
Yeah, that's where I started. A little basketball, and the box was really small, and I made my own backboard and a small basketball, and it barely fit in there. And that could have helped a lot. I played by myself and shooting from all angles, and that, it was a little snuff box. I think it was just maybe about 6 inches square, and the little small balls, and that's how we do it.
Now, you broke the all-time record. I guess it would have been 1955. Now, do you remember that at all? You remember that happening?
Well, somebody, when we made all state selections, and there was articles in the paper, some must have asked Father or somebody how many points I scored. And that, when I went to the Iowa High School Athletic Association, that's where it was recorded. And then for about 6-7 years, I think I held the record till the basketball player Potomo Walsh broke it. But it was kind of lost over the ways. And then one time it was published in the Des Moines Register many years ago, since I've been at Fayette. And I know my son Mike noticed it, and so he wrote a letter to the editor, and they straightened it out. But I'm still in the top 20. But
right.
that was way before the 3-point goal, and the lines were kind of short in Prodovan, so
right.
We crossed the 3-point line. We could maybe fire them in there.
And he didn't play probably quite as many games, so it was quite an accomplishment. And of course, you went on to the Hall of Fame, and you're still the only athlete in the history of what is now the Turkey Valley District to be inducted into the Hall of Fame in any sport, and that's quite an honor.
Well, I'm proud to represent Prodovan in the Turkey Valley District, and they did take my picture to they have the Upper Iowa Conference has a kind of a mini Hall of Fame in Sumner. Okay. So because Prodovan is part of the Turkey Valley District, they have something in there. But I'm thrilled, and I love Prodovan, and I love Northeast Iowa, so it's good.
All right, Coach Bill Prochaska, one of Prodovan's favorite sons from the class of 1955. Coach Bill Prochaska is now into his 70s and recently celebrated his 50th wedding anniversary with his wife, Jan. They had 2 children, Mike and Melissa, and you see the coach here with his grandchildren as well. 2 remarkable people, both the Bill and Jan Prochaska. Jan originally from Lime Springs, Iowa, and both are really Mr. and Mrs. Peacock in many, many ways. Always enjoy talking with Bill Prochaska, and this special report brought to you by Fensel Oil and LP in Prodovan.